Hello, it's your friendly neighborhood intuitive, the psychic nerd. And I am back with another video talking about the astrological big three of Star Trek characters, continuing with Star Trek The Next Generation. And I'm going to do today's video on Ambassador Lwaxana Troi, daughter of the fifth house, holder of the sacred chalice of Reeks, and heir to the holy rings of Beta Z. And what all those things mean, I have no idea. I don't recall that ever being disclosed before the TNG series ends. So, if anyone knows what those things mean and how they're significant, in Beta Z culture and on the planet itself and everything like that, please leave a link in the comments or leave a comment or something like that because I have no clue. As big of a Star Trek fan as I am, I do not know that. I'm sure it's some fan fiction somewhere explaining it, or maybe even a Star Trek novel. Anyway, so I'm going to get right into it, starting with her sun sign. So I believe she is a Cancer sun. And the reason why is because of how caring she is, right? Yes, she does things to make Deanna feel embarrassed, but it's not malicious. She just has that classic caring and nurturing that Cancer energy is known for, right? The main thing that makes her so endearing though is how she refers to Deanna as little one. And I just love that I actually refer to all children at this point little ones. I just think it's so cute. She's a little bit different with Alexander, Worf's son. She actually calls him Little Warrior, which is, again, so adorable, especially, taking into consideration Klingon warrior culture and all that stuff. I love it, right? It is absolutely just so heartwarming. And it's a good reflection of that youthful, nurturing, caretaker, Cancerian energy, right? So, like, most cancers you meet, they are also very open. They have a tendency to be very open and receptive. Just don't offend them or upset them because then you're going to get the version of them that might want to stab you, especially if they feel slighted or hurt by something that you did or said. And with Lwaxana, we see this because those titles that I used before, the daughter of the fifth house, heir to the holy rings and all that, if she feels slighted, she will ramble that out quick. Or if she wants to assert her authority, she will say that so quick. She, makes it known. This is who I am. You're going to respect me. And cancers can kind of be like that too. But mostly the feeling slighted or hurt part, right? So don't get it twisted. Out of the 12 signs in the zodiac, I can tell you Cancer is one of the most petty. More petty than even Scorpio. People think Scorpio win the prize for pettiness. They don't. And believe it or not, there's a sign that's even more petty than Cancer and Scorpio. I'll talk about it in another video. But Cancer, sun sign through and through. Also, we see her Cancer dark side, and this is also going to play into the moon sign that I think she has as well, right? So put a pin in the in that. I want to move on to the moon sign, which I kind of had a hard time with this aspect of her personality, but I believe that her moon sign strongly and truly, it's it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be Gemini, right? Which I had a hard time. I'm like, am I being biased because Gemini is my moon sign as well? So I'm sitting here, I'm like, am I giving her some of my personality traits in terms of like her emotions and things of that nature? But at the end of the day, the reason why I gave her that particular moon sign, or I believe her to be that particular moon sign, is because she does have that youthful energy, and she has, that flirtiness. We see how much she flirted, especially with Picard, right? And Gemini's, even if they're not interested in you romantically, that energy is youthful, playful, curious, likes to have fun. And one thing a Gemini will do for fun is flirt with people, whether they're really interested in you or not, because for them, it's playful energy. They're having fun. They're, expressing that childlike energy that they naturally have. So, you know, that's why she, to me, would be a Gemini moon. Now, in terms of her rising sign, this again was a little tricky for me, but I do believe she is Aquarius rising, simply because of how eccentric, flamboyant, and erratic she can be at times. And if it's one thing we know about Aquarian energy, is how unique that energy is and how much it wants to be unique. Like sometimes, to the detriment of the individual, because the dark side, one of the things that happens when Aquarius is operating from their dark side or lower vibrating energy is being eccentric and contrarian just for the sake of it. I'm going to be different because I just love the idea of being so different, so unique, so against the grain, right? And you will see them often, like, do or believe or say things to be unique just because they can, right? So it's also kind of how she dresses, right? For me, it's, the flamboyant, eccentric clothing as well. Her fashion is is for sure its own thing, very unique, very niche as well, right? And she goes off and she kind of does her own thing. She's not like most Federation ambassadors, I tell you that. And that's for those who were wondering what exactly she did. She was the Federation ambassador to Beta Z, her home planet. So, yeah, I think she's Pisces sun, Gemini moon, Aquarius rising. Now, when it comes to why the Cancer and Gemini placements are so strong is the episode. Let me hold on. I know I pulled this up. Believe it or not, I'm not gonna try and remember this because I knew I wasn't gonna remember this. Yes, so we see it demonstrated to me anyway. I think her her sun sign Cancer and her moon sign Gemini especially are very well showcased in season 7 episode 7, and the title of that episode is Dark Page, and it's the one where Deanna is not Deanna. Deanna's already on the Enterprise, but Lwaxana Troi comes for a visit, and at the same time, there's a race of telepathic aliens on board the Enterprise. Vocal speaking and expression doesn't come native to them. They purely have, you know, built their society and everything like that around psychic communication, telepathic communication only. And so they're learning to speak, and it's a challenge for them. And they have the Federation helping them, you know, to learn essentially how to verbally communicate, because it's not a skill that they possess naturally. Again, they don't possess a strong command or understanding of it even. Which, by the way, was really young. Goodness, what's her name? Uh, uh, Goodness, she played Mary Jane in the first Spider-Man movie. She's very young, but she has an on-screen role as one of the young Karen. That was the name of the alien race, the Karen, Carin. They're getting their help. They're getting help with verbal communication on board Enterprise D. Long story short, though, it turns out Lwaxana was suppressing a specific event and subsequently all existence of a child that she had before Deanna. She had another daughter named Kestra. Well, tragic accident. Kestra passes away. Lwaxana blames herself and for literally decades suppressed the memory, had no evidence around of Kestra even existing, even told her husband Ian, don't talk about her. And that right there is the low vibrating energy of both Gemini and Cancer. In that Cancer want to go inside their little shell, because the symbol for Cancer is the crab. So they, you know, when they're hurt, sometimes they don't react, right? They don't, you know, get their claws, like their little like crab claws on you. You know, they're like, I'm too hurt to really do anything. I'm going to go inside my shell and protect myself or this specific area of myself, my life, and I'm going to close in and protect it inside this shell as hard and for as long and for as much as I possibly can. The way that plays out with the Gemini moon energy is that, like all three of the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, there's that detachment, especially Gemini and Aquarius. Aquarius is notoriously known for detachment, but the other air signs do it too, and that includes Gemini. And Gemini is going to logically process the emotions that they're going through more so than, Libra or Aquarius. They still can and still will process the emotions intellectually, but not to the degree that a Gemini will. And I know because, again, my own moon sign is Gemini. And it's, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What am I going to do about feeling better? How do I not feel this again? Right? And so that's why, as a Gemini moon, she would shut all that down. She didn't want to deal with that pain anymore. It was just too much, it was too painful. So she decided, I am going to detach from this because I don't want it affecting me anymore. And logically, the best way to keep this from hurting me, from affecting me, is to just not think about it at all. Don't have any reminder. Look, I'm not going to think about it. I don't want any reminders about it. I don't even want this to brush up against my life. And that's exactly what she did. So in that episode, we find this out, and Deanna had to really, speak with her mother and get her to understand, this wasn't your fault. It was an accident. Please tell me about my older sister, you know, and the issues that she was having, because it was causing a chemical imbalance. Like, this was negatively affecting her health. If I'm not mistaken, it was severe enough to put her life at risk, right? Because that's how deeply she had suppressed it and did not want it to surface, didn't want to go through that pain again. So, you know, that's how I came to the conclusion of her being Cancer's sun with Gemini moon and Aquarius rising, which, yes, the rising sign plays a little bit into it as well. Hardcore detachment when you take the Aquarian energy into account. An Aquarian, yes, they will detach like that. Like, no, I don't want it. I'm going away. They don't even put up walls. They just leave. Right? They just go. They detach. They seek freedom because the freedom is for them ultimately comfort, right? And it feeds into that uniqueness that Aquarian energy thrives on. But just to recap, her big three is going to be Cancer sun, Gemini moon, Aquarius rising. So water and double up on the air. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this has been insightful. I hope it has given you a little bit of a better understanding of astrology and the different energies that the signs possess, and how the placements play these energies out. And also, I hope you like that I'm taking a little bit of liberty to kind of humanize these characters more, but to also bring a better understanding to astrology and spiritual concepts and things of that nature. So if you like this video and this kind of content, then please feel free to like the video, spread it around, share it, leave a comment, all those kinds of things. My other video prior to this, I was talking about the big three of Captain Picard. So check that one out as well. The next character, I'm not sure who it'll be, but it will not take me nowhere near as long as to record and post a video for it. So, with all of that being said, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel, and I look forward to interacting with many of you as the channel grows and the space expands. If you're interested in learning more about me, then there is another video I recommend, Who is the Psychic Nerd, giving a little bit more about my background. Also, my gameplay videos, some of those I talk about myself and my spiritual journey as well. The next game I will be playing, where I will specifically be talking about my journey, myself, my life, is I will be playing various games from the Life is Strange franchise, starting with the very first one that came out forever ago. But yeah, I am going to leave it at that. And thank you again. Keep vibing, nerds.